Only 7 days after the Island race in Montreal, Canada, the Grand Prix scene moves to the Riverside site at Detroit, Motown, USA. A point-and-squirt circuit over bumpy streets of right-angled bends where a hair's breadth out of line puts you into a wall. Round 6 in the 16-race World Championship Series sees Ferrari in command, with Michele Alboreto leading the Drivers' Championship ahead of a tie for second between Elio De Angelis and Alain Prost, with Patrick Tambay 4th, Ayrton Senna 5th and Stefan Johansson 6th. Ferrari lead the Constructors' Championship too, 6 points ahead of JPS Lotus, with McLaren, virtually unbeatable last year, trailing in third. With heavy rain yesterday, the starting grid times, set on Friday, see the brilliant Ayrton Senna in pole position for the 4th time in 6 events, over a second faster than Nigel Mansell, followed by Alboreto, Prost, nursing an injured wrist, Rosberg and Warwick, De Angelis 8th, Piquet 10th, world champion Niki Lauda a lowly 12th, and Martin Brundle 18th in his non-turbo Tyrrell. Let us not forget that last year there was an enormous crash at the start when Nigel Mansell, third on the grid, tried to go between Piquet, the poleman, and Prost, second fastest, and took everybody off, as a result of which they had to restart the race. Let us hope that that does not happen this year. This race, 63 laps, 157 miles, and it's a clean go this time. And Mansell, Nigel Mansell, with a tremendous burst of acceleration, leads Senna. Prost is in third position. Keke Rosberg is well up there. Alboreto has slipped down through the field. And Nigel Mansell, who did so well, has now lost the lead to Ayrton Senna, who nips through on the inside of the right-hander. And it is Senna, Mansell, Prost, Keke Rosberg, Eddie Cheever, Michele Alboreto, Stefan Johansson in 9th position.
Yes, Alboreto got a bit of a mess going around the outside of the first corner and caused Elio De Angelis a lot of trouble because he had to slow right down on the outside of the corner, and De Angelis was making a nice run round the outside, and that cost him a lot. But Senna has jumped into the lead despite not making the best start. I noticed that we didn't have a red light then. We went straight on to a sort of greeny-blue light, and the drivers went, and I suspect that caught a few drivers napping.
And already out of the race on lap 1, Ghinzani, Piercarlo Ghinzani in the Osella. Last year, only 6 cars finished the race, and I'll be quite surprised if many more than that finish this year on this tremendously demanding, bumpy, rough circuit. Lap 1, Ayrton Senna leads. In second position, it's still Nigel. The 2 Williams cars are well up. Prost is 4th, Alboreto 5th. And there goes Prost, and now they've got the problem of getting Ghinzani's car off the circuit, which is surrounded by debris fencing through the Atwater Tunnel, coming through to complete lap 1. And it is Senna, it's the 2 Williams cars. Now, they could well be the dark horses of this race, because they have both got the new Honda engines. Prost in 4th position, Alboreto in 5th place, and Senna leads. Lap 2, behind him is, it's terribly difficult to identify as they go past, but certainly the 2 Williams in 2nd and 3rd places. Nigel Mansell from 2nd on the grid, Keke Rosberg from 5th position on the grid. And yet another one, that's the Alfa Romeo of Eddie Cheever, and he is in the pits. So now Ayrton Senna's going to have his time cut out to try to control the race from the front. And it's Rosberg right behind him. Keke Rosberg has come up from 5th to 2nd in the Williams. These cars completely redesigned, of course, since last year by Patrick Head, the 2 Williams cars made in Didcot. They've got the much improved V6 turbocharged Honda engine, and Keke Rosberg is hungry for victory, as he is for World Championship points. because Rosberg, number 6, has only got 3 points in the championship. There he is, and he's got up ahead of his teammate Nigel Mansell, but it's a wonderfully heartening situation on lap 2, coming up to the end of it, into the right-left chicane, and then through it to complete the lap. And Senna leads at the end of lap 2. Rosberg is second. Nigel Mansell is third position over the line into lap 3. And Rosberg with Prost in fourth position. Alboreto in fifth place.
Yes, we've got an interesting battle because we've got two real car control experts in the lead. And on these very tight street circuits, car control is at much more of a premium. Ayrton Senna, great natural talent we've seen already this year with his qualifying and a lot of his racing and his wet race, of course, in Estoril. And Keke Rosberg, who, out of the blue, won in Detroit last year and showed us great car control when the track surface was breaking up, and he is already flying on this very tight street circuit.
Somebody stuck in the tunnel. It's one of the Ram cars, and it looks suspiciously like it's Winkelhock. I think there can seldom have been a team with such consistent bad luck as the Ram team has had this year. We are on lap 6, and the race order is Senna leading, Rosberg in second position, Nigel Mansell is third, Michele Alboreto is fourth, Elio De Angelis is fifth. In sixth position, it's Alain Prost. Seventh is Derek Warwick. In eighth position, it's Stefan Johansson. Ninth is Nelson Piquet. 10th position is Niki Lauda, who's coming up through the field well. In 11th place, it's Martin Brundle. And in 12th position, it is Stefan Beloff. So both the Tyrrells are doing extremely well. 11th and 12th position against all these powerful turbo cars.
Now there is Alain Prost. Ahead of Derek Warwick and Stefan Johansson in the other Ferrari. Now that's the battle behind.
And Keke Rosberg is in the lead on lap 8. We did not see it happen, but you now see, as we do, that Keke Rosberg has taken the lead in a Grand Prix for the first time this year by getting past somewhere on the far side of the circuit Ayrton Senna, and he's pulling away from the Brazilian. Keke Rosberg in absolutely masterly form.
Just by the way, he's put so much daylight between himself and Senna so quickly, I get a slight feeling that Senna may be in trouble. Senna's dropping back very fast indeed. Yes, Senna's diving to the pits. Senna into the pits.
Let's hope that we have a look at what Senna's problem is, but now up into second place then will come Nigel Mansell in the second of the Williams cars. So we've got, for the first time this year, and there's Senna in the pits. Well, this is most peculiar. I'm pretty sure that 2 new front tyres have gone on Senna's car. I noticed there were chalk marks on both of them, so that means new fronts on Senna's car. He must have made a wrong tyre choice.
Yes, I think he changed all 4, in fact, Murray, but certainly that was a tyre pit stop. So, Senna was obviously struggling with his tyres. He's got in and out pretty quickly, but we will have to wait for the race to resettle for a lap before we can give you his exact position and also just how much time he lost with that pit stop. But I would suspect that he has re-emerged onto the track something like 25 seconds behind Keke Rosberg and the lead.
This is the battle for third position. So Elio De Angelis, this amazingly consistent man who led the World Championship until Michele Alboreto, who's in front of him here, took that lead from him in Canada last week. And Elio De Angelis in the JPS Lotus, who's really pushing Alboreto and challenging him for third place, has scored points in every World Championship round this year and is currently second equal in the championship with Alain Prost. And Ayrton Senna, because of that pit stop, dropped down to 13th position. And what a wonderful scrap this is between the Scarlet Ferrari of World Championship leader Michele Alboreto and the Roman Elio De Angelis on lap 10. And that's Pierluigi Martini coming into the pits in the Minardi.
Yes, certainly, De Angelis is looking quite frustrated behind Alboreto. He's going very well indeed. We've seen how well the Lotus once again is going this year. Senna has shown us that already, despite his tyre stop. And De Angelis having a crawl through, and he's down. He's made it down the inside, and that was a very good piece of driving. He showed Alboreto a little bit of a dummy. He pretended he was going to stay behind him, and then as Alboreto went on the brakes, he just nipped down the inside line. So now expect De Angelis to pull away.
And Niki Lauda in the pits. This is as bad a season for Niki Lauda as it has been so far for the two men in the Ram team, Manfred Winkelhock and Philippe Alliot, because Niki Lauda, the world champion, has only got 3 points so far this year for San Marino for the 4th place that he had there, and Rosberg. Gordon Murray looks over the cockpit, and fierce gesticulation from the double world champion of 1981 and 1983, Nelson Piquet, with Rosberg leading, Mansell second, De Angelis third, Alboreto fourth, Prost fifth, and Johansson in 6th position. Behind Stefan Johansson in 7th place, it's Derek Warwick in 8th position. It was Nelson Piquet, so up to 8th position now comes Martin Brundle. Martin Brundle in the leading non-turbocharged car, and there are only 2 of them, is up to 8th position on lap 13. And Alboreto is being caught by Prost, and Johansson tries to take him. 5th and 6th this is. Oh, and Johansson nearly pushed into the wall there by Alain Prost inadvertently. Nothing deliberate about it, and he comes fighting back. And Stefan Johansson goes through and takes the position on braking and keeps it as he accelerates away from the Marlboro McLaren with its tag engine. And it's a lucky lap 13 for Stefan Johansson, and a very dour-faced Niki Lauda out of the Grand Prix yet again.
Yes, that was a bit of an exciting moment there for Stefan Johansson, because he went to go inside Prost. Prost was slow out of that left-hander. Johansson went to go inside him, and Prost didn't really see him, although Johansson was alongside. I would have felt very sorry for Johansson if Prost had actually pushed him into the wall, which is what nearly happened.
And we look down at the midfield men with a tyre right in the middle of the course. Now, where has that come from?
I think it's got a couple of statements. It looks as if it's come from the tyre wall, because it doesn't contain a wheel in the middle of it. Yes, indeed it has. It's all tied together, so that's old tyres which are used for safety barriers. They're all piled together. You see on the right-hand side of the picture where it's come from, but the marshals, somebody has obviously been into the tyres, but why the marshals haven't been on to remove that very dangerous obstruction, I just don't know. It's not quite on the racing line, but it's close enough to be a considerable distraction. And well, we were just seeing Senna having a look down on the outbraking, and now we're going to see how this happened, hopefully. And that was Ayrton Senna, by the look of it, fighting his way back through the field. Just took it wide, and he may have been lucky in that he didn't seem to have damaged the rear of his car in clipping that tyre wall. And there's been some criticism here about the speed of reactions of the marshalling. There was an accident in practice when Helmut Berger spun into a broadside position around a blind corner on the track, and I think another 3 cars got involved before the marshals really came with the yellow flags, and so drivers were coming around a blind corner to be confronted by a stationary Helmut Berger sideways on in the middle of the track on the racing line, and the marshals are the only people who can warn the drivers of that situation, and they were very slow, and I think that they were inordinately slow then in removing that little pile of tyres from the track.
That is Patrick Tambay, and he's oh my goodness, Patrick Tambay is going around the wrong side and wrong way of the course as he struggles to get round again and maintain forward progress in the right direction, and he's gone right off down the slip road, presumably to retire. and that was Patrick Tambay spinning, as you see, came out of the corner. That's where the tyres were.
Yes, you see there, he went away to retire. His left rear wheel just banged it, the suspension was broken. You see the car sliding all over the place, and so in fact he's driven it away.
Rosberg leads, Mansell second, De Angelis third. Up into fourth place now, unseen by us, has gone Stefan Johansson, ahead of his teammate Alboreto, who is now fifth. Sixth and last man in the points is Alain Prost. Seventh is Martin Brundle. In eighth position now, up through the field, is Ayrton Senna, and ninth is Stefan Belloff in the second Tyrrell.
And Martin Brundle really flying. There he is. He's right up on the tail of Alain Prost now. And Martin Brundle, and he's done it. He's squeezed down the inside of Alain Prost. So Martin Brundle doing what he did with interest last year here is now up into sixth place and in the points already. And I just noticed a bit of potential problem for Keke Rosberg. He's got what looks like a bit of paper stuck in one of his radiators. Now that could, particularly on this hot day, cause severe overheating unless it blows away. It's on as we looked at it then, it was in his left radiator, i.e. from his point of view, there it is in the right-hand radiator, or in Rosberg's right-hand radiator. There's a large piece of paper, and that will be severely affecting the ability of the radiator to cool, and as they run pretty marginally, as he's just knocking a front wheel, so Rosberg is well on the limit, but unless that piece of paper finds a way out of that radiator duct, which will be difficult for it, I have to say that Rosberg is going to be in problems with his engine overheating.
He's leading Mansell by 20 seconds. He could, if he knew, of course, almost zap into the pits, get the paper, and out goes Derek Warwick. Yet again, for the second Grand Prix in 2 weeks. Last week it was Canada, this week it is Detroit. And look at that corner marking up. It's the tarmac is lifting on that corner on the braking line. Warwick, who was 10th, has joined his teammate Patrick Tambay out of the Detroit Grand Prix.
There's Nigel Mansell, who's been straight on down the escape road. He just did he spun the car quickly round, so he's overshot his braking. Whether or not he lost a place, we can't tell at the moment.
But I hope we stay with this shot, because Martin Brundle is closing on Michele Alboreto, and that is Alain Prost out of the race. Both the Marlboro McLaren cars are out of the Detroit Grand Prix, including now Alain Prost, who was in 7th position. Well, with cars biting in the wrong way, like biting the concrete walls around this Detroit circuit on lap 21, Keke Rosberg, with paper in the radiator and probably an overheating engine, leads, and there he is. He leads his teammate, Nigel Mansell, who has gone off at one of the corners and rejoined. Third is De Angelis, fourth is Johansson, fifth is Alboreto, and sixth, closing on Alboreto, is Martin Brundle, and Alain Prost is out.
And Keke Rosberg appears also to have some now in his left radiator as well. So Rosberg is being very unlucky. Obviously, there's the large quantity of waste paper around. We saw that. Murray pointed it out long before we'd seen any go into the radiators. But to have it in both makes me think that it's really going to be difficult to cool that engine.
And now we've got a change, which you'll see on your screens shortly. We saw Nigel Mansell rejoining the circuit. We haven't seen it, but it's happened. Elio De Angelis, the ex-World Championship leader until Canada, is now up into 2nd position. Third is Mansell, fourth is Johansson, and fifth is Martin Brundle. The producer is concentrating on Keke Rosberg as Rosberg just misses another paper bag lying in the middle of the circuit. And it's really irresponsible, to put it mildly, of spectators to let this happen. Although the Americans are, again, understandably, not up with the nuances of Grand Prix racing, and many of them regard this Detroit circuit as being pretty sissy. They say the average speed here is only about 85 miles an hour. In fact, the lap record is just under 85 miles an hour, held by Derek Warwick, and they say we can do that in our Chevrolets down the freeway. And now you see Stefan Johansson is right up to Nigel Mansell, who is in 3rd position behind Elio De Angelis, with Keke Rosberg Rosberg leading, and they're closing up on one of the two Alfa Romeos, and it is that of Eddie Cheever, who has been into and come out of the pits, and Mansell takes it. So, lap 22. Rosberg well away, but will his engine last without overheating, with that paper bag stuck in both the right and the left pods? In second position now, Elio De Angelis. Third is Mansell. Fourth in the leading Ferrari is Stefan Johansson. Fifth behind him is Martin Brundle, and in sixth position it's Michele Alboreto. Seventh is Stefan Beloff in the second Tyrrell. In eighth position it's Ayrton Senna climbing up through the field after his pit stop, and in ninth place Jacques Lafitte, the veteran in the Ligier. There's Johansson. Now let's see if we can see Martin Brundle. Well, there's Cheever, who has been passed in the Alfa Romeo by Stefan Johansson. Here is Mansell exiting the Atwater tunnel, going down to turns 18 and 19, with Stefan Johansson, the gritty Swedish driver who has taken so long to get where he deserves to be, and he goes through. Stefan Johansson takes Nigel Mansell and moves in the process up into third position. Stefan Johansson is flying. They were spinning the wheels in practice in fifth gear and spin. My goodness, there's Keke Rosberg. There's a perfect example, as it's Mansell. Mansell, my apologies to Keke Rosberg. Nigel Mansell, who has already spun once, has spun again. You get a great lump of power all of a sudden, and even these sticky tyres can break traction and have you off the circuit and into the wall in a flash, and it was lucky for Mansell that didn't happen.
Senna now back in the pits. Looks as if he's stopped for more tyres, but that means that Senna, I think, is in trouble, and he's out of certainly leading contention, although that was quite a quick stop.
There is one of the Williams off, and it must presumably be Mansell. It's Nigel Mansell, and you remember James was hypothesizing, and incidentally that is the corner where Alain Prost went off, and Mansell was in ninth position. He's gesticulating at the back of the car, so he obviously thinks he can go on if somebody can get him out of the mess that he's in. And Mansell, James was suggesting, had probably got a grabbing brake, because brakes give real trouble at Detroit, and in practice and in the warm-up, there's the confirmation that it certainly is Mansell, as we see Keke Rosberg motoring very, very quickly, but very smoothly onwards in the lead. I should think that Nigel Mansell has got brake trouble, and certainly he is effectively out of the race, unless there is a lot. Oh, and he's at definite. Oh, and limping. Nigel Mansell, who is incredibly fit. It looks to me as though he's broken a collarbone and shaking off. Yes, they're trying to make up a sling. Now you're looking at Michele Alboreto, who's got back ahead of Martin Brundle, who led him on the previous lap. So Michele Alboreto is now fourth. Martin Brundle is down to fifth, and that itself is a superb achievement. Even better, of course, was the fact that he was fourth on the previous lap. So either Brundle has got some sort of a problem which has slowed him up, or Michele Alboreto is really pressing. And I'm sure that the Ferrari driver is not totally happy with the car, because he started from third position on the grid. He was in fourth position earlier on in the race on lap 4. Michele Alboreto was in fourth position. Well, he's in fourth place now, but he's been lower than that. And on lap 30, which is not very far off half distance, with quite a few cars out of the running and quite a few more still to go, and Elio De Angelis in the pits. Now that is dramatic, because Elio De Angelis, with shock horror on the faces of the Lotus mechanics, was in second position. He has clearly hit something, and they are replacing the nose cone and the attached aerofoils on the JPS car. So has Stefan Johansson moved up into second place? He most certainly must have. And as Martin Brundle chases Alboreto through, Alio moves across on him, and out goes Martin Brundle. Martin Brundle hit by Philippe Alliot in the Ram, and Alliot, who has caused so much trouble through crash driving in the past, and he crashed in the last Grand Prix at Canada, has taken out the 4th place man, Martin Brundle.
Yes, that really was the most terrible piece of driving. He just moved over on Brundle. He let the Ferrari go through. He saw the Ferrari, and instead of just letting them go through, he just moved over straight into Martin Brundle, and that was a terrible disaster for him.
So both the Rams are out. Now, what has happened to Martin Brundle? I thought I saw him walking, but we'll have to get confirmation on that. He was in 4th place, and through absolutely no fault of Martin Brundle's, he seems to be out of the race.
Yes, and we've seen rather dramatically the trouble that lapping back markers, potential trouble that it can be with Alliot's terribly unnecessary removal of Martin Brundle from the race. And so this is very important for Keke Rosberg now. He's got to take great care when in amongst the back markers to make sure that they've seen him, because there are others in the race who are capable of doing things as stupid or as inattentive as Alliot's performance then, and Rosberg has a responsibility to himself to take great care in amongst the slower traffic.
Keke Rosberg there, number 6, lap 35, leading, and seemingly, if all goes well with the machinery and people in front of him who is coming up to lap, on his way to his 4th Grand Prix win in his 88th Grand Prix career. Motoring through the field. Now he's taking about to Nelson Piquet, the double world champion. You have 2 world champions there of 81, Nelson Piquet, 82, Keke Rosberg, 83, Nelson Piquet. Piquet in the BMW with its Pirelli tyres moves over half distance, and Keke Rosberg continues, number 6, to dominate in the Williams Honda. In 2nd position in the Ferrari, Stefan Johansson. 3rd in the 2nd Ferrari is Michele Alboreto. In 4th position, the man that we're looking at now, appropriately number 4, Stefan Beloff in the 3-litre non-turbo Tyrrell. In 5th position, it is Ayrton Senna, who has been into the pits twice for tyres, but is now motoring strongly ahead of his teammate, Elio De Angelis, who is 6th. So, both the Ferraris and both the JPS Lotus cars are in the top 6. In 7th position, it is Jacques Lafitte in the Ligier. In 8th position, it's Nelson Piquet, who has been lapped by Keke Rosberg. In 9th position, it's Thierry Boutsen in the Arrows. We got a close-up of the side pods of Keke Rosberg's car there as he came towards the camera, and he is a very, very lucky man. Just as he was unlucky to have picked up paper, so he has been extremely lucky somehow to have been able to get rid of it, more by luck than judgment. There's nothing he could personally do to get rid of it. Now, there's a 35-second gap between this man, the leader, Keke Rosberg, and Stefan Johansson. Johansson is 11 seconds ahead of his teammate, Michele Alboreto. And Senna is gaining on Stefan Beloff, who is in 4th position. And there is Senna. Now we're with the one real battle on the circuit, because Ayrton Senna in the black and gold JPS car motors with superior power straight past Stefan Beloff in the Tyrrell and up into 4th place. And Ayrton Senna has broken the lap record. 1:45.84 is a new lap record by Ayrton Senna. One of there's a very substantial bit of what looks like plastic bag in the left pod of Keke Rosberg's car, which was at one time clear, which before that was full. So the debris is going into and dropping out of the pods, not only of Rosberg's car, I suspect, but others as well, all the way through this race. Here is the race leader. He goes through the chicane alongside the Detroit River, coming towards us now. And Rosberg is going into the Pits. Rosberg into the pits. There he is. There is the race leader on lap 50. A tremendously fast tyre stop, and he sprints away. His time was, his lead was 24 seconds, and there is the second place man, Stefan Johansson. Just as the Canadian Grand Prix dramatically came to life in the closing stages last weekend, exactly the same thing is happening here at Detroit. The race leader for so long, Keke Rosberg, with debris in the both pods of his Williams car with its Honda engine, sprints into the pits, takes on new tyres, and now Stefan Johansson on lap 51 in second place is within sight of the leader.
Yes, and of course, remember, Rosberg's just changed tyres. It'll take him about a lap to get them properly warm. But of course, with this circuit being so tight and twisty, he also has the advantage that if Johansson threatens him, he's got plenty of opportunity to block him until his tyres get hot.
Now Senna has caught right up with and into the barrier goes Ayrton Senna, exactly where Prost went off, exactly where Mansell went off. And so out of the race very definitely now is Senna. He was in fourth position. Is he all right? That's where Mansell hurt himself.
Yes, very popular spot, but the odd thing is I have a feeling something might have gone wrong with his car. He started to turn the corner, then two-thirds of the way around it, the car just stopped turning it. Now look, he's turning, and now he just goes straight.
So the Finn, Keke Rosberg, leads the Swede, Stefan Johansson, and you see the gap is down to less than 2.3 seconds.
That's quite why they're capturing it for us. We can see perfectly well what the gap is. We hardly need a stopwatch. It's visible. Anyway, interestingly, Rosberg, I don't know what it is about the Williams radiator pods, but he's picked up yet another piece of paper. There is a great big yellow piece of paper in his right-hand radiator duct, and it seems to have a great affinity for any bits of waste paper on the circuit. However, it wouldn't appear to have done him any great harm. He's out leading the race with only a few laps to go, and the engine certainly seems to have survived thus far. And it looks to me as if he is just about able to control that gap to Stefan Johansson. Johansson came charging up to him to about that far away, but hasn't got any closer. So it really is a matter of a tactical hold-on for Keke Rosberg. And unless, as I say, he's in some sort of mechanical trouble, now the gap has stopped closing, and unless Rosberg's in some sort of mechanical trouble, even if Johansson gets right on his tail, it's still a huge advantage to be in front.
So, into the last lap with the Williams team mechanics on the pit counter here at Detroit goes Keke Rosberg. There is less than 2.5 miles now between Keke Rosberg and the checkered flag, the reappearance of the Williams team and the 1982 world champion, and that's Jacques Lafitte out of the race. The reappearance of the Williams team and the 1982 world champion at the front of a Grand Prix. He's driven superbly in tactical terms. He made a good decision to start on soft compound tyres to build up a lead, and he built up enough of a lead to be able to come in and change tyres and still, in a few yards' time, win the Detroit Grand Prix. His fourth win in his career, his first of 1985, only one in 1984. And Rosberg is going to win from Johansson. The marshals are waving, the crowds are waving as he goes round the closing stages. He's going to go into the Atwater Tunnel soon. And when he does that, he will exit it. And there he goes, down past the Ford Auditorium, into the right-hander at turn 16. There he goes now. That's where Martin Brundle was taken off. Now the left-hander at turn 17. Turns 18 and 19. Then Rosberg will see the checkered flag and victory. He's led from lap 8. He's going to cross the line first. He does it. Keke Rosberg wins the Detroit Grand Prix in the Williams Honda. And it's a jubilant Williams team celebrating the victory of Keke Rosberg in the Williams Honda, with Stefan Johansson second in the Ferrari, his teammate Alboreto third, Stefan Belloff fourth in the Tyrrell, Elio De Angelis fifth in the JPS Lotus, and Nelson Piquet scoring his first point of the year, sixth in the Brabham. In the Drivers' Championship, Michele Alboreto still leads. De Angelis is now alone in second place, ahead of the third place man Alain Prost. Up to fourth, Stefan Johansson. Fifth is Keke Rosberg, and sixth is Patrick Tambay. In the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari have increased their lead over Lotus. McLaren is still third, but the Williams team have moved up to fourth position with today's win by Keke Rosberg. Talking now to Andrew Marriott.
Keke Rosberg, an absolutely superb victory. America's something special to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems to work well. The only problem is that between Dallas and Detroit is nearly a year. That's a bit too long.
What about this new car that Frank Williams has built for you? Because it's very different from the old one, and I think the Honda engine was very different too today.
Yes, we got the new modified engine first time in Montreal. Had a very good race in Montreal, and now it seemed to work perfectly here. I think what is more important is that we seem to be able to run without too many engine problems at the moment. So it gives us a chance really to work on a chassis, which we never had before. So maybe it's all coming together, let's hope.
What about that pit stop we saw? Because you came in just to get a piece of paper out of the radiator and you got a new set of tyres. What happened?
That's right, yeah, I didn't expect the tyres, and I was absolutely raving mad on the radio after that. I think they probably switched the radio off because they thought the language was too much for them.
And what about the future now? I mean, with the British Grand Prix coming up, do you think you're on a winning streak now, Keke?
I really don't know. Future is private. I mean, I'm going to rush back and see if I've got a baby already or if it's going to come tomorrow. It's going to be any minute, so that's the next important thing.
So for Keke Rosberg today, the promise of a double celebration. Well, in 4 weeks' time, it's the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, and we're running a special competition. So watch out for it on Grandstand, Grand Prix, and on breakfast time. But in 2 weeks' time, the World Championship scene returns to Europe, to the Paul Ricard circuit for the French Grand Prix. A race to watch, so join us.